Yo, guys, we're back again with the Bettor Podcast. It's episode 2, season 2. And up today, we've got a special guest. It's not a footballer, but I think you guys might enjoy him. Somebody that I have massive respect for. Somebody that I used to walk past in the kitchen in my previous job, greeting him while I'm drinking coffee. And little did I know that adventure he would take in the future would lead me to be joining him in the same company. Somebody that's obviously led me to open on many doors in my career and get me to where I am inadvertently. Indirectly. But yeah, I'm very excited to have you on board. You're a football encyclopedia, a legend,
Not
somebody...
yet.
A legend in the making.
Yeah.
But somebody that's extremely passionate about football, local football, like I am. And I'm really privileged to have you here today. Thank you, Nkululeko, my brother. Good job.
Nkululeko, my brother, Kunjan. Thank you very much for inviting me, Lorenz, man. Great to see you doing good things, great things. Ambassadorship, and you're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, football personality in the country as well, doing well on social media. Everyone now, it wasn't a thing until recently. Everyone says, I will wait for Lorenz to confirm the story. So that's a great thing. And of course, as you say, when I first saw you at Soccer Laduma, we were passing across each other. Little did I know, and little did you know that we would be in this position. So thank you very much for inviting me as well.
Look, I mean, just before we get to what we're really going to talk about, which is, the transfer window that's about to pass, and, just looking ahead of the season, this venture that you took, we did speak from time to time at Laduma, but nothing like hectic. Spoke to Jason also a lot. You guys left because, I'm not going to mention why, because, that's not the platform for it, but you left to start your own passion project and things like that. Just how has it been? Because I remember I saw you on Facebook, you posted 5 years now has passed.
Yeah.
It's a milestone you've reflected. So just how it's been, and did you expect it to be like
I
this?
think it was very important for us, and even for you as well, for all of us to work at Soccer Laduma. And Soccer Laduma, we pick them up for the platform that they provided for all of us. When we were working, Jason and I are the people who conceptualized and started iDiski Media, which is the owner of iDiski TV and iDiski Times that you work for as well. And I work for iDiski TV as partly an owner and also an employee. When we were working at Soccer Laduma, we were working at a podcast version of Soccer Laduma. And we were able to figure, there were two of us. It was myself and Jason Aker, who are now the owners of iDiski Media. And after 1 year of working there and getting sponsorships on the platform, we were able to ascertain that that particular individual platform as part of Soccer Laduma made between 2 and 3 million. And for us, that was a light bulb moment to say, if only 2 human beings are working here, and in a year they've made 2 to 3 million. However, I was earning 20,000 rands. Jason was on 30,000 rands. We worked it out that we could then make this money on our own. But the question was, because we were in Cape Town, I'm from Cape Town. Jason is from Joburg, but he was working in Cape Town. We had to move and leave Cape Town and come to Joburg. And it was a deliberate move for us to come to Joburg, but then the risk was we're now leaving our paying jobs. I'm on 20,000, Jason is on over 30,000. How do we make this work for ourselves? Unfortunately, at the time, I was reading headline stories for a new company called Massive Metro. So basically, they didn't have, on every radio station at every top of the hour at 1, 2, 3 p.m., there will be a news story. And then there will be a sport headline. So I was reading sport headlines for Massive Metro at Soccer Laduma and giving them sporting news from the Soccer Laduma website. And fortunately, we built and developed a relationship with Massive Metro. And then we moved. Strategically, Jason had to move to fill in the waters in Johannesburg. And then 5 months later, I left. So in 2018, it was Jason moving first. And then in 2019, May, I left to follow Jason. And then whilst we were at Massive Metro, we started shooting these videos. The first video we shot somewhere in July with Junior Kanye, and we uploaded it the 5-year anniversary on the 15th of September 2019, which why we were celebrating the 5-year anniversary. We shot a couple of videos, see how people respond and react to it, and we were like, okay, good. We have something working here. And then from the success, just to wrap up the story, from the success of iDiski TV, the match day videos were able to attract betting sponsorships. And over time, we then started with iDiski Times, the platform that you work for and other good journalists are working for as well. And then it became iDiski Media, the full company, with the YouTube side, with the website, and of course, social media that has, I think, total of over 800,000 followers. So that's where it started. So all the moves that we made to come to Joburg were deliberate. We were not here to work for other people because we had done that at Soka Laduma. We saw that they made money, which is there's nothing wrong with that. But we realized that on our own, we can be able to do the same thing that they're doing as well.
But it's crazy that in a space of 5 years, we've gone from working at the company. I remember one time I was complaining about my pay grade, but they said,
Me too.
They said, don't.
I thought 20,000 was ridiculous.
Yeah, they said, don't be a journalist if you want to be paid well, and I took that personally.
Yeah.
And I think it drove me to go to other heights. But anyway, now we've become like one of the major role players and things like this in this industry. For other people, we always often see. We post stories online and they think it's Nkululeko and
they think I work for iDiski Times.
They think Junior Kanye is writing articles.
When they're angry at you guys for your articles, they think it's me. Like, like I don't work for iDiski. I work for iDiski TV and I only work during those videos. I don't post anything. It's you guys that get people to hate me.
But I mean, like, I see that comments all the time and I just laugh because people don't understand. But the crux of the matter is you guys have brought in a new form of media. I think it pushed a lot of boundaries. People didn't understand it at first, but they're enjoying it. As much as they can spew hate and whatever, they still come back every single time.
That's the most important thing, as long as they watch next week.
Exactly. So, it's opened up a lot of doors for, AMA fans, these type of things.
Yeah, shout out to AMA fans with TV as well.
New forms of media as well. New websites have been popping up as well. But yeah, how important that the media was to diversify, because there was major role players. Newspapers were dying. There was the traditional, I would say, two big companies and the newspapers and things like that. How important is this new media landscape for football specifically?
Absolutely. It is incredibly important. I will make an example with television. And I always say this, the strength of a good television show is its inability to make people talk about it after it's aired. So Generations will play from 8 until 8:30. If people are still talking about Generations at 9 tomorrow and 11 about an episode, that means we're good. Now, with us and the media format that we use as iDiski Media, whether it's iDiski TV or iDiski Times, the article lives a life beyond you uploading it and people reading it. They will share it with their friends and they will write response pieces about it. They will be angry or happy about it, or they can shoot videos about our videos, for example. So the dying traditional media format has its limitation. You shoot a video or you have a live show at a specific time. When it's over, it's over. Whereas with these new digital formats, it continues because you can watch it now, you can watch it later, you can share it with your friends. Whatever is happening on Generations, you cannot take your television and lift it up and show Umakilwan what is happening.
Or maybe screen grab.
You cannot screen grab it as well, So it is important for us. It was so important for us to actually take advantage of the new opportunities that are in this landscape. Maybe the downside would be that when you're watching something that's poor on television, whether you're watching Scandal or Dragon Ball Z on SABC2, there is an opportunity for you to give them your opinions about what you're seeing. If you don't like what Pikachu is doing on Pokemon, you will keep it to yourself, or you can tell your friends, or you can decide not to watch. With us, the format, even in this episode, someone has already expressed how they don't like how this looks, or how that looks, or what we're saying, or my accent, or why I'm not speaking Zulu or Xhosa. So that's part of the thing with our format, is that people will tell you how they feel about it in real time.
Okay. Look, I understand that completely, because I mean, like TikTok, they can just take these things, they can put it on TikTok. So there's opinions on opinions, where the traditional media was, this is what you're writing, you're consuming, and then you can maybe tell your friends. But there wouldn't be strong opinions about a piece of writing, because you need to be, you need to tread a line of what you write. Yeah. But you guys you can go AWOL. But anyway, what we're here for is the PSL. Obviously, you're the guy mostly asking the questions, but this time we're turning it around. Just what did you make of this window that's passed? Obviously, it was a crucial window. New sponsorship in the league, new excitement, people looking at it as a new dawn. The previous title sponsor was just won by one club, which is ridiculous.
Well done to them, but it is difficult for us if one club wins. The whole DStv Premiership was won by Sundowns, and no other team had a hand on the DStv Premiership.
I mean, like 6 months of the year, you're creating good, engaging content, and then because the competitiveness.
There's a point where around November, December, we all know the Sundowns will win it. And I don't enjoy it. My soul gets out of my mouth if that's where it gets out. Like I lose it. I'm like, oh.
But I can imagine for us, we have to drive to Loftus or Orlando, FNB, and we know we're just covering a match in a press conference, and it's just like, there's an 18, 20 point gap. Like, what are we doing here, you know? And
what's even the selling point?
Exactly. But anyway, what do you make of the window? Like, even beyond the big three, like the Stallies, the Cape Town Cities, which club has like really caught your eye in the business that they've done?
Yeah, I think Stellenbosch was interesting because you would have thought that they would have fought. But I think what's interesting about their model is that every player has a price in that model, and if you meet that valuation, then they will release the player. What I found interesting was their willingness to do so, and I suppose they've been fighting with Jaden Adams and they've been fighting with Fawaz Basadin, but when they lost Dino van Rooyen, when they lost Ikram Reyners, they must have lost someone else who I forgot maybe. But when they kept on losing some of those players, I was like, okay, so what are you going to do? Like, you think you're going to replace them? But then they've proven over time that they've been able to replace them. But I thought, you know what, you're setting yourself up, because I think it comes from the desperation of wanting a competitor. And we've been looking at Stellenbosch. I mean, they're going to the final against Orlando Pirates. We've been looking at them and saying, maybe this is going to be the competitor. It will come from left field. It won't be Chiefs, obviously. It will not be Pirates, because Pirates has always been a permanent number 2 against Sundowns. Maybe it will be from left field. But their willingness to replace players or to sell players, for me, gave me an idea to say, okay, you're happy to sell players this transfer window. Maybe you don't want to be that competitive, but then they replaced them. They replaced their players. Cupido replaced Ikram Reyners. I think with Jurgens, the right back, they've been always trying to replace Udino van Rooyen, because they were maybe accepting the fact that they're going to lose him. But then they were strong with Fawaz Basadin. They were very strong with Jaden Adams as well. We don't know what's going to happen in the next coming hours. The interesting thing is that I'm talking to you. You should know whether or not Jaden is leaving.
Look at that. Jaden is on a plane to Congo right now to play AS Vita. But the funny thing is, yesterday or 2 days ago, they rejected a 25 million rand bid for Jaden Adams. 25 million. They said come with 25. They came with 25 and it was rejected. But just mainly because it's like, I think it's because they lost to Golden Arrows 1.
Oh, yeah.
And then 2, it's like, it's going to be a big hole because he's so influential in the team. So maybe come again in January and we'll think about it. But I mean, the club itself, I think it's giving a lot of Southampton vibes where, look, okay, you can replace.
Eventually it's going to catch up.
It's going to catch up with you. And the problem is you cannot build a successful club if you don't pay good wages as well. I strongly believe that, because let's say you were paying good wages, why would your players want to leave?
Because Fawaz was an interesting one as well. If you think about the fact that the agent was saying there was a transfer request submitted, and then of course Chiefs were at the forefront of that. What I liked about him was his professionalism, because they were playing in the semi-finals of the MTN 8. He scored immediately in the middle of submitting the transfer request. And I wonder, you make a good point about wages. I wonder if his continued stay at Stellenbosch will be then met with a new contract with improved, options as well.
My understanding is that they've got a cap and they don't go above that. Respect to them.
Yeah, because it's going to negatively influence the rest of the squad.
Yeah, because everybody knows if you are at this level, this is how much you're earning. So that keeps the harmony in the squad, but it also limits you. You can't be, punching up with the big boys in terms of making your 8 million, 9 million transfers and then paying like a mid-table club. I won't mention any names because it's going to offend some people. But you just can't do that.
The other thing, Lorenz, is the ripple effect that it created for Cape Town Spurs. Because I think Spurs had it in their minds that they're not going to lose players.
I think they played it methodically.
Okay, so you think they knew that they were going to lose players? Because
play hardball.
Okay.
To get the Chankura.
Yeah.
So I think they probably made over 20 million in transfer sales this window.
From being relegated with Stellenbosch.
No, from overall. So there's Chiefs, Dortley.
Yes, Dortley.
There's Stellenbosch. I can't remember if there was other one for sale, but they've made over 20 million rand.
Yeah,
That's
I think
more than winning the
Tumani
league.
Putsaka left
Yes.
and Cupido left as well. They also got Mervyn Boji from Stellenbosch as well.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job in the market, and they played it well. Because I thought that I took them on face value that they didn't want to sell because they wanted to fight back, but then it's going to negatively affect them as well in fighting back. The other thing that's interesting about this transfer window, I think, was our players, our attackers being linked with North Africans. I thought that that's a new pathway that we've not necessarily... Yes, Pesitao is there and Pagamani Mahlambi has been there, but it's a pathway that we've never really seen happening consistently. Because if you remember Elias Mokwana, if you remember Kanye Samayo, and even Ozun Apolis was close to going there as well. And I thought that that's an interesting one because are we trading in dollars now? That means it's more lucrative to deal with them. And also, are they now starting to look at our players because of Bafana? Are they looking at them as players who can play internationally?
So look, I got a very simple answer. One, yes, the Bafana thing does play its role. Dollars is interesting, but one of the big factors is, let's say if I'm Sekukune, right? I came 4th or 3rd or whatever in the last 2 seasons. Imagine I'm sending my best player to Kaizer Chiefs. It's like... this guy's gonna come hurt me. They might finish above me because I'm selling there. And then also many of these clubs come with outright fees.
Yeah.
So basically, it's been one agency that is tired of the shenanigans in North Africa, and the shenanigans being not getting paid from the clubs. So many clubs being banned in North Africa and stuff. So they looked at the South African market as, if these guys are doing so well in AFCON, you know what I mean? There must be some attacking talent. So everybody knows there's a dearth of forwards.
Yeah.
So you can see the why they're going for all the top forwards.
And Fagla K is already there as well.
Exactly.
They're doing well there.
The ambassadors for us there, basically. You know what I mean? So yeah. But besides that, there's Cape Town City. They signed a lot of players, some interesting players. And then also SuperSport. SuperSport lost Keegan Johannes to Sundowns. They lost Chandre Campbell. Who else? I think they sold another player. I can't remember. But they've brought in like older guys. Like I know you rate Sanoka.
Yeah, he was good against Sundowns. He stayed on his feet.
Vincent Poole is in.
He kept his eyes open, stayed on his feet. That's good.
But
Vincent
overall,
Poole, I don't know about SuperSport. I think there's a space that they operate and they occupy in South African football. I think that they're permanent number 5 based on their business, that the wages they are willing to pay players and the amount of money they are willing to spend on players, and the fact that they're a vacuum that releases talent to Mamelodi Sundowns. I think they kind of accept that there will be a permanent number 5. Of course, they've done number 2. They almost did number 2 last season and the season before, and they've done number 3 consistently. So they kind of accept where they are in South African football, that if they have a good player coming through from their DDC, he'll eventually be a Sundowns player. And I think that they kind of accept that. I look at their signings and even the link with Nurkovic as anyone who can get us to stabilize at number 5. It's nothing special.
So you don't see 4, 3.
Maybe even 4 or 5. I don't think the cap is on 4 or 5 because they've done number 3 before. Last season, I think they were number 3, or the season before they were number 3. But I think whatever they're doing. I
think they were 7th last season by 1 point. So they could have been 4th, but it was 1 point to 7th, which was
there was a point where they were number 2 for a long time. I might be mistaking last season from the previous season. There was a season where Pirates pipped them on the last game to number 2, which was a season that Pirates went to the CAF Champions League and lost to Juan and Galaxy. But I'm saying that all the transfers that they make are tailored to make them a somewhat semi-mediocre mid-table team, like a 4, number 5, or a number 6. There's nothing special that they do, and I think all of their best players. When we saw Chandre Campbell, we were like, okay, he's a future Sundowns player. When we saw Tapelo Masego, we were like, okay, future Sundowns player. Sipho Mbule, Tebogo Mokoena, future Sundowns player. Aubrey Modiba, future Sundowns player. You could have made that prediction and look like a prophet, but it's literally the pathway. They know that Sundowns plays for talent, and they develop those players to play for Sundowns.
And for Bafana.
Yeah, of course, Bafana. That's benefiting Bafana eventually.
But Cape Town City as well. Look, I watch a lot of football, and I appreciate Cape Town City's style. And I think, look, Eric Tinkler does sometimes get a lot of flack. But I do think they actually play a decent brand of football. But my problem with them is, like, I think it's many South African teams, they have like this chameleon thing, where if they're playing against a good team, they raise their game. They play against a Roller M, and then all of a sudden they just...
I always say that, Lorenz, that if you can wake Cape Town City up at 2 a.m. and they will have a competitive game against Chiefs, Pirates and Sundowns.
Yeah.
Sometimes they will win, sometimes they will draw, sometimes they will lose. It's a 50-50 what will happen on that game. But you can wake Cape Town City up and make them play against Polokwane City and they could possibly lose that game. And I think since 2017, when I was working at Soccer Laduma at the time and they were born in 2017, that's always been the case. The first game that they ever played as a professional team must have been in the 2017 season in the MTN 8 and they beat Kaizer Chiefs and I was at the stadium. A player by the name of Sim, whatever his name is, Matthew Sim, he scored and they knocked out Kaizer Chiefs, and they've always been that team. They could either knock out Pirates in a competition or they will be knocked out by Pirates, but you will know that you'll have a good game. I like Kamagolo Mokhocho with their signings. He's a Rolls Royce of a midfielder.
Yeah.
He's very, very good. Who else did I like? Chiweza is coming good as well. He scored a goal against Royal AM. I saw the first half of that game.
Hashim Domingo.
In the Hashim Domingo as well. I think Hashim Domingo, there's a point where you have the potential, and then we must start seeing it.
And we should be seeing it now this season. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a point where, alternatively, because I'm from Cape Town and I'm biased, we're going to have to play Jaden Rhodes. We're going to have to play Toyer Godeman. We're going to have to play Loyolo Slacher. We didn't even get to see Ukaka Sefumba. So at some point, these players that were bought Makaringa, they're going to either have to play or we have to develop our own Cape Town players.
Yeah. Look, I mean, besides Cape Town City Supersport, there's also, I know you said Pirates are going to be the guys in second place and things like that. But for me, against Chopper, I just saw maybe a different type of mentality where last season they might have lost that game because Chopper was actually playing really well in that first half.
Well, Andy Lejali had to be taken out.
Yeah,
and that's where the change in the game happened.
But Evan Gao was also uncharacteristically bullying Olisa and Da.
Yeah, he did it last season as well. So when Andy Lejali is not there, Evan Gao does not receive the ball that he needs to be a problem continuously with Pirates. I'll tell you something interesting about Pirates. Now, speaking to Lady D, who's I think she's the first lady of Orlando Pirates.
Yeah.
She's always attending the games. And I spoke to her in the morning and she said something very important. She said, yes, because I was pushing it towards the direction of you guys have to challenge Sundowns. And she said, yes, we have to challenge Sundowns, but I'm deeply unhappy with the way that we played. I'm deeply unhappy with the way that we won. Why do we have to concede first as Pirates? Why do we have to come back from that game? On a different day, we wouldn't receive that goal from Mulepule Saleh in the last minute and it would have been 1-1. Already we would have dropped points. Sundowns have 3 points. We would have been on 1. Orlando Pirates are the second best team in the country. They do spend money in buying players. They have a decent squad. They should be pushing Sundowns. In fact, they should be winning. The question that Pirates have to ask themselves with the players that they have, they signed up, Gilberto, Dino van Rooyen is the best right wing back in the country, in my opinion. I've always vouched for Mudau. When Nyugo Mobi was playing instead of Mudau, I was vouching for Mudau. I think the final third, Dino van Rooyen is much better than Kurusho Mudau, and that makes him, and also in recovery, they are equal. They recover really well. They will never allow any opponent to beat them clean. They will always recover. But on the final third, Dino van Rooyen is the difference maker in that position. So Gilberto, Dino van Rooyen, all the players that Orlando Pirates have signed point me to a direction where they should be competing. The question is, and this is a difficult one for Pirates, I don't think they'll be able to do both, the Champions League and the Betway Premiership. I would love for them, in my heart of hearts, for them to challenge Sundowns. And I would love for them to win, actually. I will say that.
But they both have over 40 players.
Sundowns has a better quality. That's why the Pirates is the second best team in the country. Sundowns have a better quality and also the experience of traveling. You remember that even when Sundowns players are playing for Bafana, there's a private jet that's organized for them to fly to eliminate the distance. Are Orlando Pirates used to doing both? And they will play 6 matches in the group stages now because they will dismiss Running Galaxy. They already are 2-0 up. Now, with those 6 matches, how will they affect them playing weekend and Wednesday for 6 consecutive weeks?
The coach, I asked the coach the same question today and he said, this is foreign territory for us. He admitted this is foreign territory for us. And we are going to, have to speak to the specialists in terms of conditioning. Like, can my player play today? Do I have to rest him? Do I look at the bigger picture? Do I drop points here and there for the Champions League?
They have to choose their battle. And
they said fatigue, the only way to get over fatigue is to win.
Yeah, of course, psychologically it will help you forget about the fact that you're tired. But Orlando Pirates are our best hope of not even... I don't think anyone will unseat Sundowns from their position. You can just win once to break the 7 league titles in a row because you don't want them to get to 8.
Like City now in
exactly,
EPL.
you can break City just once off and then they will come back and win. And Orlando Pirates are our best hope for that to happen, in my opinion. But there's a question that they need to ask inside Pirates, the coaches and the players and the leadership as well. Iron Duke, and also even his sons are now leading at Orlando Pirates. Dr. Ivan Koza, his sons are now leading at the club. They're going to have to sit down and ask themselves, which battle do we want to engage in? Do we think we're going to win the CAF Champions League? I think that it would be irrational for them to think that they will win. Do we think we have a good chance of defeating Sundowns for the league? Where the answer is yes is based on the fact that Sundowns, with whatever Coach Mangoba was doing, maybe they're tying their shoelaces together and then they're tripping along the way because Coach Mangoba, there's this tension between senior players and Mamelodi Sundowns, and maybe whilst they're still trying to figure themselves out, Sundowns, Orlando Pirates collect those points.
Like a Bayern season last year.
Yeah, you see, so... Bayer Leverkusen, they beat Bayern, and then the whole world says, at least, because it was 11 league titles in a row for Bayern Munich, and then Bayer Leverkusen wins. I wish Orlando Pirates can then logically say, let's see how it goes in the CAF, but let's not go all out. Let's try and collect as many points as possible. But I also am saying to my guys as I work with them, as we watch these matches, I'm saying the 10th match will give us, in the Bettor Premiership, the 10th match will give us an idea of where this thing is going. It will not be won there, but it will tell us whether or not Orlando Pirates are a contender. And that last minute goal by Munapule Saleng, that was a relief for me. I was like, okay, just keep going. Because by the 10th game, they should either be equal on points with Sundowns, or Sundowns need to eat itself up, throw a hand grenade within the building, whatever things that are happening there. I hope that it disturbs them so that Pirates or whoever else can accumulate more points than them.
I doubt it will, because like you said, there's a lot of quality. Somebody inside Sundowns, I asked him, like, what do you think about their signings and whatever? They said, they said Pirates have 15 quality, like top quality players.
They have a starting 11.
Yeah, they have 15 top quality players, but we've got 25. You see?
And that's true. You can't dispute that.
Yeah, and then the rest is talented youngsters looking to come through. So, for example, they were looking at this transfer window with binoculars.
Sure.
What is Pirates going to do? Because they could become scary. But they didn't. They didn't go out and sign. Okay, Dino, top signing. Gilberto.
I love Dino.
Yeah, Gilberto could be a top signing. We haven't seen the
We'll
best.
see how it goes with them.
But then you should be going for the Jaden Adams, the Keanu Cupid.
Even Oswin-Apollos, because they need someone on the right-hand side, Orlando Pirates.
Yeah.
Yes, Saleng, of course, I think is getting a little bit better now. Although not his decision-making.
But they have competition.
Yeah.
Like Sundowns have competition. If you're not going to perform, you're out. The next guy is going to come in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there will not be a drop in standards.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So, look, Pirates, I mean, they could surprise us. There's been many teams around the world.
Can I say something, and it becomes controversial when I say this about Pirates, and I did it deliberately, and I could take the bullets because I can take them because I don't read comments. There is no need to over-celebrate trophies where you play 4 matches and you win them. You can do it if you've been going through a trophy drought. Yeah. Orlando Pirates 1937, one of the greatest ever teams in this country, Orlando Pirates. You should at some point get used to the idea that you won the MTN 8 last year, you won the Nedbank Cup last year. We need them to challenge Sundowns. Forget, okay, you're in the MTN 8 final. If you get it, I think psychologically, once they win the MTN 8 final, you celebrate in October. It's on the 5th of October. You celebrate it.
It's like
Whereas it's so early in the season for you to be celebrating anything. We need you to achieve substantial things. I think maybe the CAF Champions League is far-fetched, but do better than last season.
But you kind of insinuated that they have a chance in the Champions League.
It's
Look, they're very different. South African teams are very different to the rest of the continent.
How I look at it is, if Sundowns has constantly been in the semi-final, Esperance Tunis is constantly in the semi-finals, Al Ahly in the semi-finals constantly, Raja is coming in as well. I look at those teams as teams to expect to be in the top 4 next season. Pirates, because of how they did against Johann Galaxy last season, I said, right that wrong. confront the demon again. They've done that.
Yeah.
They've defeated Jwaneng Galaxy, and I'm hoping I'm not jinxing them. In the second leg, they already have a 2-0 lead. In the second leg, they'll dismiss them. I want them to go to the group stages. Get used to going to another country, coming back to South Africa 3 days later, another country, coming back to South Africa 3 days later. Then that means you might just be number 1 or number 2 in your group.
But traditionally, when they get to the group stages, they do well.
Yes, what I'm saying is you cannot expect them, if they were eliminated in the preliminary round last season, you cannot expect them to win. Go out there, be men, and there's something called character development. Go out there, learn things. They're gonna try to give you a poisonous juice. You learn not to drink that and all of that, and the conditions as well. And then next year you are better off because of that experience. So I want them to continue this. If they got to the quarterfinals, then who knows what will happen. If they get out of the group stages, then they are meeting people who are almost equal to them. A Raja Casablanca. The only difference will be the experience at that level, and also Al Ahly, the experience at that level. But I'm not expecting them to win anything. I think realistically, we should be pushing. Of course, we are content creators. There's nothing we can do to influence it, but we can kind of do it with our audience. We should be pushing Orlando Pirates to be pushing Sundowns in the league. I think that's the more realistic, achievable goal, because Orlando Pirates, are they better than Chippa United? Yes. Sekhukhune? Yes. They are better than maybe 14 other teams in the league.
That's what I was saying, because people are saying, Sundowns is not the same. Sundowns is going to slip up. But then I always ask the question, but Pirates, are they not going to slip up either?
That's the thing.
Like Cape Town Spurs.
That's what we're discussing, Lorenz, that we are wishing things for Pirates. It's up to them to go out there and achieve them. Because we can say on paper, they are better than all the other teams except for maybe Sundowns, and maybe on a good day, Stellenbosch. So that's why Pirates, you can then say, without any controversy, they're the second best squad in the league and the second best team in the country at the moment. That's not talking about it historically, but at the moment, that's why they've been number 2 for 3 years in a row, for 2 years in a row.
Yeah, for me, I think they could even do like a double over Sundowns and still not win the league, because of over the past few seasons where they've been falling short is the Cape Town Spurs, the Richards Spurs.
It's a game you expect them to win.
Yeah, the Chippas and things like that. But anyway, you're not even speaking about Chiefs. So my question is rather, how many windows or how many appointments do you think Chiefs are away from being back to, a realistic contender for silverware in this country? Because I think they're going the right way, but they're failing forward. I think so. But they're still far behind.
I think the question to us, Lorenz, is, are Kaizer Chiefs ready that when Ozone or Police is 15 million, hypothetically, are they ready now to be the Chiefs that offers more money than Sundowns, more money than Orlando Pirates? Because I think in the pecking order, they are below those two teams. Sundowns will pay the most money for any transfer. I was speaking to Kamapile's former agent, Michael Ngobeni, and he actually made a revealing statement to say that the teams actually end up bidding against one another. Even if
Of course, it happened with when Wits had the jumbo sale when they were sold.
Yeah.
All those top players had ridiculous salaries right now because
they were bidding against each other. Yeah. That's what Michael Ngobeni was saying. And I'm saying, these teams don't even realize that the player and his agent would have accepted 100,000, but they take 100 from here and they call someone else and say it's 200, and that someone else accepts that, and then it goes higher to the third person to be 300, and then it eventually settles on 500,000. So they're bidding against each other. But on the question of Chiefs, I think up until, I don't think they've shaken off their reputation of buy one, get one free Zimbabwe. I think the only thing that they've changed from that period is that they're no longer going to Zimbabwe. Because if you think about
money also for fees now, actually.
Yeah, but if you think about the fact that like Serena was a free agent, I want Kaizer Chiefs to do well. That's my childhood club. But if you think about it, Serena was a free agent, and every other signing that they made was in a defensive player. It was a left back and a center back and a goalkeeper and another center back. And I'm like, okay, but you know that you need creative players. Like Kaizer Chiefs, it's not a mystery. It's not a mystery. They know that they need creative players, and creative players are very expensive. Why is it that you're not in the conversation for Jaden Adams, for example? Because it will help you going forward. Why is it that you're not in the conversation? Because when they were talking about Fawaz Basadine, I'm like, no, but that's another left back. I love him. I love Fawaz, but that's another left back. At what point are we going to start talking about Ozwin Apolis?
But he's a different type of left back. I remember the 2017 or 2018 Cape Town City. Do you remember Basadine was playing right wing for City? It was that viral moment where they wrote his name with a bandage at the back of his sweater.
Yeah. I think I remember that.
So he's an attacking left wing
they
back.
won't play him primarily as a left. That's why they got Bradley Cross.
I know, but
primarily he will start from the left hand side. What they need now are creative players. What Orlando Pirates got from Patrick Maswanganye is exactly what Kaizer Chiefs needs. That kind of creative player. You know, Oswin Apolis on the right-hand side. What does it still need to achieve with Bafana, for example, that would then persuade Chiefs to say, break the bank for that player? What Asanele Velepai, for example, would have been, he would need another season, like he's a kid.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's in the same bracket as, I would say, Shabalala right now.
You see, that's what I'm saying. Like you're buying potential, and he will he will play 20 matches this season, and maybe he will give you 5 assists. But what you need at the moment are ready-made players.
Double digits.
You know, you need exactly. You need someone who will give you 10, 12, 15 goals or assists, and you will need to pay for that. And I think Kaizer Chiefs fans deserve it. Yeah. They deserve a Kaizer Chiefs that is buying these players every time. Let's say Relebohile Mofokeng was a Magesi FC player. Let's say he was a prospect from Magesi. Why is it that should we assume that Sundowns will be in for him and Pirates will be in for him and Chiefs only by name and social media will be in for him? Why can't they buy him? Yeah. Because they are a big team. I'm not expecting them to do anything special. If they finish 10th, same logic. Then finish 5 or number 6.
I think it's the budget being misused and listening to fans too much. So, for example, you sign multi-million transfer for Oxum Tetwa, who was arguably in data one of the best defensive.
He was very good at Stellenbosch. He was very good at Stellenbosch.
And it was easy on the eye.
It's a puzzle for me how he didn't work out.
It's
he was
easy on
really
the eye.
Good at Stellenbosch.
I was in Ivory Coast just before the AFCON draw. He played there for Bafana.
Sure. No,
then he goes to Chiefs.
But you can't blame that one. Like even I would come across as a bad advisor if I was advising Chiefs and I said take him. Yeah. But then maybe there needs to be deeper research into
why that didn't work out.
And also we are seeing you as a professional player, but where were you when you were 18? And we kind of make this point about development. Where were you when you were 18? Where were you when you were 16? Because Oswin, through our colleague, Rob Delport,
he's been watching him since 12 years old.
Exactly. He says that. He saw him at Ajax Cape Town at 14, 15 years old. So we know was feeding and clothing and coaching.
I spoke to Ox up until maybe 23, 24. He said he was working in a factory or something.
That answers the question.
Playing Kasi football. He was spotted in a Kasi tournament, taken to Royal Eagles.
That shouldn't happen.
Okay, from Royal Eagles, he goes to some other team, Black Leopards, on trial. He makes it on trial. 2 seasons, Stellenbosch Chiefs.
That shouldn't happen, because from a developmental perspective, you know what's interesting is that if you ever listen to Mikel Arteta doing an interview, you'll find out that he was playing football with Andoni Iraola as a coach at Bournemouth, and not far from them would have been the coach who's I always forget his name. He coaches West Ham now, and he would have been playing around Mauricio Pochettino when he was 17 years old. So all of these guys, they know each other. When Cesc Fabregas was asked a question about who does he look up to, he was 14 years old. He said, "I'm looking up to a player like Xavi who plays for under 19 at La Masia at Barcelona." So we always need to know where were they when they were 14, 18, 17, who was feeding them, teaching them football. Because although he was good in terms of form, I will never blame Chiefs for Oxum Tetra. But then it is their gift that if they're spending more than 5 million for him, they need to know who was teaching them football, so that never catches up with them. Because why is he no longer able to pass the ball forward? But he was able to do that at Stellenbosch.
You were spraying the ball all over the pitch.
I don't get that one. Yeah. But then it speaks to being able to do your proper assessment for players and profile them. And we need to discriminate against any player who was not in any system. You never played schools football, or you were never playing interprovincial football. But we need to know where you were when you were a kid. But
Ditlok was another one. Okay, he had a development. He was in Botswana captain at 21.
Sure.
One of the best centre-backs in the league at Supersport. Stan Matthews was literally, it's like he almost had a heart attack when he found out that this guy's going on a free to Chiefs. Like he was devastated. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe they were devastated because they were not getting any money.
Yeah. Now him and Ox are knocking on the door at Magesi right now.
Yeah. That's interesting. But that proves that, not everyone can play for Kaizer Chiefs. And I worked with people, so Vilagazi, Junior Kanye, I'm working with people, Jabu Pule Mahlangu, I worked with those guys, and I always ask them, why is it that if you score 20 goals for Polokwane City and then Chiefs or Pirates signs you, it doesn't work out. And they always say something. It's a mysterious thing. Like, it's like, I don't believe in witchcraft or spiritual things. But then there's a reason why people believe in them, because somehow there's some half truth to that. Whenever they explain it, they say, Kaizer Chiefs is not Papa and Flace, or Orlando Pirates is not Papa and Flace, and you can't just play for those teams. I'm like, no, but you scored 20 goals against opposition.
The same opposition.
On green grass. And they're like, expectation. I'm like, no, but you're still the same human being who can kick that same ball.
And you're playing with better players.
Exactly, with a team that has more possession. But they always, it's a mysterious thing that happens, but it has to do with fans' expectations. It has to do with the fact that you can no longer go to a mall anymore on your flip-flops because you're now a Pirates player or a Sundowns player. So with big clubs, there are big expectations. But I think with Ox, the answer is with the fact that he didn't play any junior football when he was young. And it's very dangerous to play for the big teams, even though you never played under 17, Amachimbos, under 19, Amachita, under 23, Amakluk or Bafana Bafana. So we need to know where you were when you were a child and who coached you. That somewhat translates. But I think, to wrap it up, Kaizer Chiefs' transfer window for me was, I was puzzled by the fact that it was only defenders. I couldn't get it. And I know there's hype with Chiefs. They are the greatest football club ever in South Africa. They are the MVP brand. You talk about them, you'll get views. You know, you cover them as super sport, you get people watching. But I was puzzled why the fans they are buying into this thing of these defenders. But after the first game, you can kind of see that they're good, but they need attackers.
They're playing Marumo Gallants.
That's the other thing as well. You always have to remember who you're playing against. They need more attackers, but it looked kind of good. But they were not playing Mamelodi Sundowns.
I like the fact that maybe there's a window of opportunity for your Shabalalas. Your Vilagazis to potentially come through. And then in January, you can maybe reassess and say, okay, we weren't expecting you to win the league, coach, but this is where we're going to build on next. This is exactly what we need. Because right now you can say, okay, I need this, I need that. But then it also couldn't work out or doesn't work out. You know what I mean? So I think it could be a blessing. Obviously, they're not
Where do you think they could land though? Because obviously they're not going to be number 10. That was a poor season.
Realistically, I think they should be aiming for like fourth. I think that
5, 6, and 4. Not bad.
I think fourth would be a great. Just get back into Africa. But there's tough competition there.
No, don't go to Confederations Cup.
No, but I'm just saying.
I wish they don't go to Confederations Cup.
Okay, then fifth would be good. They don't go to God. But I'm saying I think SuperSport might occupy that place because they didn't have MTN8. They were out after the first round.
The first game.
They don't have Confederations Cup. So basically, they just need to try and put a strong 11 out, win game by game, and then compete for maybe Nedbank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so there's hope after the Marumo Gallants game from Kaizer Chiefs fans. But you do say, and I agree with you, and I think if we go back to that game, you'll find that Coach Denton's Malisela dominated Chiefs.
Second half. First half, Chiefs were.
Yeah, but just even the framework, the style of play, the idea of this is how we play. We design our play this way. We are jealous of position.
But he's like copy and paste. Every club is the same.
But you have to believe in something, Lorenz. Otherwise, you can't. If you watched Coach Gavin Hunt against Mamelodi Sundowns, it's like, so what are you offering in this game? And I even said at halftime.
But he openly said, I was here to contain them. That's it.
For us, we are dying a slow death every time we watch those games. Because I said to the guys at halftime, if Sundowns doesn't score here, we are doomed.
Since when does SuperSport play a black 3?
Yeah, you see. But you have to offer something in a football game because there's a viewing audience. You're charging them DSTV subscription. You're asking them to go to the stadium.
Yeah.
You have to offer something in that game because if Sundowns don't score, you are not going to score. It's 0-0.
Yeah, when soon as Temba's Wane came on, we had an actual football match there. Even at the stadium, we were like, this is not nice to watch. But when Zwane came on, the game went alive.
Well, you guys felt it in
we were.
I thought it was boring. Even when I said Sundowns is pretending to be Sundowns because they're knocking the ball around in areas that are not dangerous. So they are pretending to be the Sundowns that plays football.
But Gavin did say that that's what we came here to do. This is what we came to contain Sundowns. And then I think they took off the left back or something and then things just fell apart. But anyway, so Chiefs, you think maybe they needed more attackers? Pirates?
Absolutely. I think that's an obvious one, Lorenz, with Chiefs. That I felt there was always hype with Chiefs and their fans. Whenever you post something about who they signed, officially, there will be hype and there would be thousands and thousands of comments. But they always have to ask themselves the question, who's going to be creating goals for our attackers? Who's going to be the creative outlet? Who's going to be the striker that scores 20 goals in the season?
They need an Alendi, like that type of player also that just fits the pieces to the puzzle together. You know
someone
what I mean?
with forward passing, someone who pierces through, like a pass that gets to the D-line.
Brings the ball from the defense and just links up the play. I think that's basically what they've been missing, because they've got, I would say that they've got decent players. I would
Decent to be top 8.
Nah, I would say that they have a better team than Stellenbosch. But the expectation's not the same.
That's arguable, but you might be correct, because Stellenbosch keeps on losing players. But then that's originally we would never be comparing Stellenbosch to Chiefs in the first place.
Okay, that's a good point. So like overall, Sundowns a good transfer window, I think. So obviously you would think that they're the best window.
Oh yeah, they always have the best window. It's just a matter of who are they buying. I'm not sure about Arthur Salis with the matches that we've seen.
63 million.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. You guys know these figures. I don't. I just judge people based on how they play. But that's a lot of money for a single human being in South African football. It's a lot of money, and I'm not sold on him. Ikram Reyners, if they know how to use them, because in the first game they used him incorrectly. They used him on the left-hand side. If you ask him to make a decision, same with Peter Shalolile. If you give him 5 seconds to decide what to do, he doesn't know what to do. Those are instinctive forwards who, when they receive the ball, they see the goalkeeper, they shoot the ball and they score goals or they miss it. So Ikram Reyners, I don't know if they needed him, but I do agree that Peter Shalolile over the past 2 years, his conversion rate is becoming poor, and they need someone who can guarantee them 15 to 20 goals.
I think in Africa, many of the teams like Al Ahly, Esperance, the Algerians, they're scared of pace.
Yeah.
So I think Ikram was mainly because, like, you know, he can hurt those type of
players. And also you remember what he did with the national team.
Kodisang as well, a lot of pace.
Oh yeah, Kubamelo Kodisang is very good. Even when he left Platinum Stars, it was really good. It's just a matter of how is he going to fit at Sundowns, whether or not he's going to fit with the style of play, whether there will be too many expectations. He's a good signing, Kodisang.
Johannes Keegan.
I've never been sure about him. This does not mean that I don't think he's a good player. You know, you watch SuperSport United less than
I wasn't sure about Grand Kekana when he came to Sundowns.
Oh yes, absolutely. I would agree to that as well. Like I wasn't sure because we watched the bigger teams more than the smaller teams. And maybe also you are constantly under pressure when you are a smaller team and you don't look good as a defender, but we'll see as time unfolds whether or not
he has more time on the ball and things
when
like
you're
that.
playing with a team that has more ball possession.
Yeah, but look, I mean, Sundowns...
do you think that it's necessary, though, to sign as many players? If they're in the picture for Jaden Adams, is that necessary? If they're in the picture for Ozuna Polis, is that necessary?
They want to sustain the dominance. You know, when teams...
Wouldn't it be a frustration when those players don't play? Because it's guaranteed that they will only play 15 matches.
Look, my understanding is that players like Tebogo Mokoena, Allende, Ribeiro, whatever, had like a gentleman's agreement with the club to say, if we perform in the FIFA Club World Cup and they get an offer, you will be allowed to leave, because Sundowns want to refresh. Right?
Okay, cool.
They want to constantly...
That's understandable. Their recruitment is understandable if we understand that.
It's for the future. You know what I mean? So you look at Jaden, you say, oh, okay, this is a replacement for potentially for Tebogo Mokoena. Tiwani is a replacement potentially for long-term replacement for, he's 18 or 19.
Yeah,
for Modiba, for Mashejo. Johannes is a replacement for Mudao or Kekana, wherever he wants to play.
So those players have to accept that this year...
But you can push. Tiwani started the last 2 games.
Yeah, but eventually that's going to create some sort of tension. Eventually.
Of course.
You have to be ready for that too as Coach Mangoba Mngqeti.
There was tension like that. For example, when Tebogo Mokoena came in, it immediately caught tension with Andile Jali. There was proper fights between those two. They were... in training,
because they're competing.
Yeah, they were hammering each other in training. And I don't know if you remember the first game that Andile Jari played for Morocco Swallows. What happened in the first 5 minutes?
I think he got the red card, right?
And who did he tackle?
He tackled Mokoena. You guys know this.
Yeah, so he took that red card in the first 5 minutes because of I don't know what. But anyway, so it does create tension. And there seems to be some tension between the coach and a couple of players. But let's see. I'm sure now that the window's closed, they have no option. Just shake hands and say, sharp, let's move on.
Go to work.
Otherwise,
did you see that Mbule one coming?
Yes. I know he was offered to Chiefs. Chiefs said no. And then...
offered from Sundowns to Chiefs?
Yes.
That's besides the SuperSport.
The sporting...
It's from Sundowns.
Sundowns sporting director said, He came a bit, like, I think he was a little bit overweight or he was injured or something. And
Yeah.
they said, listen, we're stacked in this position. We're looking at Jaden as well. Even if we don't get Jaden, I think we should try and offer to other clubs where you can get more opportunity. Chiefs said no.
Are they resigned to losing him permanently?
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think that the Sekhukhune thing has an option to buy. So obviously he needs to perform well. I don't know his wage bracket or anything like that. But yeah, there's a couple of other shocks that's going to be on the cards for Sundowns because, look, they have a European sporting director and it's ruffling feathers. But they do want to generally, if you go look on paper, I think they've close to 30 players have left the club, and I think they've signed 7 or 8 this window. That's uncharacteristic. Usually they sign 15 and release 15. So it's not like players that was in the squad. It was people that was loaned out or whatever.
Yeah, it's amazing how many players belonged to Sundowns.
And
in the last 5 years.
You
didn't
forgot.
know.
Yeah.
Even Moloi-san is doing well for Stellenbosch.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, you were a Sundowns player.
Exactly.
There's so many players.
So they've streamlined a lot, and I think that streamlining will continue at the end of the season. There was a couple of players who were like, oh, Sundowns released this guy, you know what I mean? There's going to be that again. And those younger players that people are like, why are they signing them? Will start coming to fruition. But
it is a risk though, because part of what Coach Mangoba needs to look at is the fact that Sundowns only lost 1 game last season in the league.
With those players.
You know, and also whatever you're doing, it's like at Sundowns you're auditioning to retain your job as a coach. So whether there's a succession plan or not, don't let that succession plan affect your standing as a coach, unless there's an understanding between you, the sporting director, and the leaders to say, nah, don't worry. If we, I don't think they would say if we don't win
I'm
the
going to
league.
tell you, I know what you're going to say,
Yeah.
but the understanding is we don't need to win the league by 20 points. So long as we can play Kutlwano, Siyabonga, Mabena every now and then, we can play Nkosi maybe for 5 games.
Yeah.
We don't need
But
to
don't
win the league.
by 20 points is different from saying, we could take number 2.
No, definitely not there.
Yeah.
They're saying win the league, but we don't need to win the league by 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, we need them to not win the league at all as a fans. We need them to not win the league at all as a fans. But I think what's interesting with Sundowns is that they always, and we will always be like this as people who talk about football. It will sound like we are their fans. Whenever there's a player who's a big player, potentially to be signed by Sundowns or any other team, we'll always say, he will most likely go to Sundowns.
Just to cut it, that's the last thing I'm going to ask you. A prediction, top 3, who's going to get relegated?
Didn't think about this coming here, but I've been asking too many people this question. Sundowns should win the league, but for the purpose of what I would like to see happening, I will dismiss that and destroy my credibility. So it will be Orlando Pirates. I don't believe this, but this is what I want to see happening. It can be Orlando Pirates. Number 2 can be Mamelodi Sundowns. Of course, I can't be that controversial. Not include them in the top 2. And then, of course, the Cape team, because I'm biased. Stellenbosch or Cape Town City. I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not being malicious to Chiefs. If I thought that there would be a top 3 team, I would say that there would be a top 3 team.
Yeah.
From number 10, I would expect you then to improve to number 5 or number 4 if you're doing well. So it's Pirates, Sundowns, Cape Town City or Stellenbosch. This might be wrong, but I want them to I want Sundowns not to win the league.
Relegated?
Relegated. It's interesting. Cheaper has, on average, have been number 14 for the past 7 years.
I think the squad is too strong.
On average. You dance around there long enough.
Like Everton now in EPL.
Exactly. Eventually, you will be dragged in. I might agree with you that it might not be this season, but I've been looking at them for the past 7 years. On average, they are a 13th, 14th best team.
But Royal AM have not signed.
Oh, they've not signed. Yeah. But somehow they pulled a result against Cape Town City.
Magesi also a new team.
Yeah, so maybe an in and out from Magesi. There will be in and out. And also remember that we only relegate 1 team in the league. So
16th place, last.
Yeah, the 16th place team.
You're going for Chipper.
Not that I wish for this to happen, but they've been dancing long enough in that region. But they have Andile Charlotte, so that's a wrong opinion. That's a wrong opinion, actually. Yeah. Magesi, let me take the one that you've just suggested.
Okay, so for me, I would be Rule M, Magesi, Marumo. But yeah.
Yeah, Marumo Karans has incredible mismanagement as well. But they have coach dance that mitigates against...
And Bloem crowd.
Yeah, a Bloemfontein crowd as well.
But anyway, it's very insightful to sit down with you. You're not
Thank
shy.
you for inviting me.
You're not shy to share your opinions. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Unfiltered. I'm not exactly Junior Kanya, but I hope you enjoyed our chat with Nkululeko, my brother, today. Thanks for coming, and I hope to see you again.
Yeah. Well, you work for a company. So I will see you again.
So, guys, that's the end of it. Episode 2, season 2 of the Bettor Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment
By
in the
the way,
section
when
below.
does Andy Ngube come here?
Guys, he comes here for the DNA podcast.
And Dr. Kumalo. So we are the second string team.
Hi, bo.
The second string team.
Hi, bo.
When does Minnie Dlamini come here?
She doesn't do a podcast.
She must do a podcast. Why must you do it and she doesn't do it?
She doesn't do a podcast.
Yeah, the show is over.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with the people. Thank you.
Sharp.